Andrew Ray, who's my new best friend, is one part chef, one part filmmaker, a generous dash of irreverent YouTube personality. I did not write this. And if I wrote it, it would be different. And the New York Times best-selling author of Binging with Babish and the new cookbook in your hot little hands, Basics with Babish, Recipes for Screwing Up, Trying Again, and Hitting It Out of the Park. Andrew's YouTube channel, I know I don't need to tell any of you this, Babish Culinary Universe, has grown into one of the most successful and widely viewed on the platform, with a companion instructional cooking series, Basics with Babish. At the heart of everything is a passion for learning, connecting, and pushing himself and others outside of their comfort zone. Joining Andrew on stage tonight is his lifelong friend and business partner, Sawyer Jacobs. Now let's welcome Andrew and Sawyer.
Whoa, that's our first standing ovation. Thank you guys
thank you very
much. Wow, you really know how to...
Now
We'll
what?
see. We'll see how it goes. But thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. Thank you, Lonnie, director of FAN. What an amazing organization. Thank you so much for having us. Really cool, just community enrichment, just like getting books and giving them out and creating these events where we can have discussions with generally far more impressive people than me. That was very impressive what happened on the screen.
Yeah, we didn't understand the premise when we were told that they give out the book for free, the event is for free, they do it all the time. It's a real unique thing to have in the community, and we really appreciate
big round of applause.
Being any part of it. Thank you very much.
Yes. Oh, man. So, we usually start this off with a reading. What do you guys think? I'll read the introduction. Sound good? All right. I'll put on my best radio voice. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to... Still works. All right. If you want to follow along, we're going to page 13 in your handbook. Here we go. Mistakes permeate everything I do. That might sound like self-deprecation to some, but over the past 7 years of making cooking videos, I've been saying it with a growing degree of pride. When making my first cooking show, Binging with Babish, I started showing my mistakes early on. My debut blunder is in the second ever episode, wherein I try to peel garlic using an old trick I had heard of, placing the cloves in a lidded container and shaking it violently, and watching them emerge naked, freed from their papery prisons. Upon opening my container, however, I was disappointed to discover that, just like me, they were still covered in skin. So I shrugged my shoulders, poured myself a whiskey about it, and began peeling the garlic manually. When the time came to edit the episode, instead of being annoyed with my ineptitude, like that, I was charmed. I thought viewers might get a snort out of my experience, so I threw it in as a joke, and unbeknownst to me, the heart of the show had begun to beat. Mistakes had always been pivotal in my managing to learn anything, and now I realized that the audience could learn along with me as I failed, perhaps even saving themselves from future failures along the way. Some episodes, like recreating the Dalgona from Squid Game, became almost entirely about my mistakes, becoming a supercut of my half-dozen attempts. I rewatched it again recently. It was 18 attempts, not half-dozen. Check your facts before writing a book. After many years, I even learned that my garlic peeling trick didn't work because of the rigidity of the container, which ideally should have been metal. So ideally, you're already learning from my mistakes. Basics with Babish itself was almost a mistake that never saw the light of day. My first steps venturing outside the comfort of pop culture cookery were taken warily, as I wasn't sure if I had anything original to add to YouTube's pantheon of culinary instruction. I also had grander aspirations, higher production value, multiple camera angles, stylized introduction with a theme song. Not knowing where else to turn, I haphazardly hired a production company through a friend of a friend, plopped down $5,000 for a deeply discounted week's worth of shooting. A 4-person crew arrived at my Harlem apartment on a rainy Monday morning, and right away, I knew we were screwed. After dragging mountains of Pelican cases up 4 flights of stairs in the pouring rain, they incredulously surveyed my tiny kitchen. It was hardly suited for cooking, much less producing a cooking show. Despite our already rocky relationship and immediately apparent lack of chemistry, I shook off my jitters and got down to business, starting with my strong suit, steak. I reverse-seared a mammoth bone-in ribeye, cooking it to an almost perfect medium rare, slicing it into steakhouse slabs and presenting it with fried rosemary and garlic. I offered it up to the crew, which they sort of politely declined, so I ate damn near the whole thing myself on camera. It wasn't until they hurriedly ordered lunch that I saw the newest crack in our already fractured menagerie. Most of them were vegan. And the director in particular was militantly so. Over a bowl of stir-fried seitan, he outlined his moral outrage at the consumption of all animal products, the smell of seared beef still heavy in the air, and me picking ribeye out of my teeth. When they finished lunch and I started getting ready to film the next episode, which is a whole roast chicken with its spine violently ripped out, the cramped kitchen grew hotter and hotter as our tiny air conditioner's little heart had given out. Between the... Did I just hear an awe? Between the RE lights the crew had furnished and my crappy oven pissing heat into the air, the place must have gotten up to 95 Fahrenheit before we wrapped for the day. I crawled into bed, had myself a little cry, and tried to find comfort in only having to do it 4 more days before giving up forever. When Friday finally came and went, I joyously texted my girlfriend at the time, who responded immediately by saying, "Great job, proud of you, we need to talk." You see, she had been waiting until after I had completed this torturous marathon to break up with me, which was considerate of her. Like, if she did it on Monday, we wouldn't be here talking about it right now. So needless to say, I had to start from scratch. Within a month, I had hooked up with my management outfit in Nashville, who had sent a crew to help Basics be realized. They would end up becoming some of my closest friends, one of whom is now my full-time employee, and we made a show together we could be proud of. But I was still terrified to release it. I was certain I was a novelty, something people could just background watch while ironing their clothes or browsing Reddit. Good for the occasional sharp nose exhale elicited from a clumsily executed dad joke. By putting out purely instructional videos, not only was I eschewing the pop culture reference crutch, I was purporting to be a learned person in my field, a teacher, an authority figure, someone who, when the urge strikes you to finally invest in a stand mixer and try your hand at homemade pasta, you entrust with your time and effort to steer you in the right direction. All things I'll be the first to loudly admit I am not. I'm not a trained chef, I've never attended culinary school, and the one time I worked in an honest-to-God restaurant, I cut my fingers so bad on the first day, I was promptly bandaged up and fired. The first few episodes of Basics are primarily about knife skills. Do you have buyer's remorse yet? Well, don't print out your return label or bust out that gift receipt just yet. I started writing this book, indeed this very introduction, when I saw a collocation of Basics thumbnails on YouTube. It was the pizza episode, published all the way back in 2018, juxtaposed against a much more recent pizza dough episode, if you look on page 15. The former was misshapen, pallid, triangular flatbread of orangey sauce and browned cheese, somehow simultaneously both over and undercooked, dotted with wrinkled bits of burnt basil. The latter was a picture of pizza perfection, a wafer-thin, chewy, crisp disc, delicately scattered with buffalo mozzarella and San Marzano tomatoes, crowned with an aureole of uniform, airy crust dappled with char marks. I saw tangible, tasteable evidence of what I had learned from dozens and dozens of missteps. Be they burnt bottoms or cracker-like crumbs, every public and private stumble had paid off. Even plunging a knife into my finger during the lunch rush back in 2009 eventually yielded fruit. You can bet your ass that I now practice good finger discipline when chopping onions, and now I feel ready to pass that mistake-derived skill set on to you. I'm not a terribly confident person. I'm fast to admit when I've messed up and shy away from anyone singing my praises, but I will look you in the eye, hold both your hands in mine, and say unflinchingly, as our noses nearly touch, I know how to make really, really fucking good pizza. And I can show you how. Follow me. Okay, that got intense. Like I said, I get very uncomfortable accepting the fact that I might be good at something, so the least I can do is make you uncomfortable too. Now that we've got out of the way, we can get cooking, or learning to cook. Whether it's your first day or your last, yeesh, it's about making mistakes, not being afraid of making mistakes, and learning from those mistakes. So let's start screwing up together. You can let go of my hands now. Okay, you can keep one. Thank you. Oh, thanks.
All right, so a book about mistakes. Sounds like a mistake. What are some of the big mistakes in the book that you think people can learn from the most?
I mean, let's see, a big one. Has anybody seen the tiramisu episode of the show? Lock your springform pan in place, right? Because if you haven't seen it, I make a tiramisu, and I put it in a springform pan that is upside down, the mechanism. And as such, when I picked it up, it all kind of went shoomp. And I made light of it in the voiceover and tried to make a joke out of it. And I posted the actual audio of the incident on Reddit. If you just go to my subreddit and sort by top, you'll see the 5-second long clip where I pick it up and it goes shoop. Fuck! And sorry for my language if there are any younger folks in the audience. One hand just shot up that I can't see their face, so very young indeed. I'm sorry. Don't use the words that I just used. No, you're a grown person. Okay, never mind. Wait, so that's a mistake people could learn from, but more practically, I guess, oh man, I probably should have studied before we came up here and talked about it. Every single recipe comes with a description of how I've personally screwed it up. A lot of it's for jokes, but a lot of it is also hopefully practical advice. There's also a Q&A section, sort of troubleshooting, that's written as a conversation between me and you, the reader. There's actually kind of like a story arc that if you go through the whole book, in the beginning we're just sort of getting to know each other. In the middle we kind of get into a fight. And then by the end we say goodbye in a loving kind of until next time sort of way.
Okay, so a book filled with mistakes. What about your life? What would be the biggest mistake from that?
The biggest mistake in my life. Well, anybody under 18 here? A little clap. Earmuffs, please. Thank you. Biggest mistake I've made in life. You might remember
That
freshman
disclaimer
year.
is making me think I know what you're going to say.
So it was back in high school, and I was an entrepreneurial little chap. And this was back in the year 2000 when I was the first kid on the block to get DSL internet. Anybody remember DSL? It's pretty fast, right? 512 kilobit. I can't remember what it was, but it was fast enough where images wouldn't go like this. And as such, I began downloading images, as we all might have at that time. And my friends and classmates were unable to access the same things that I could, and I had a knowledge of LimeWire and BearShare and Kazaa. And so I thought, I'll provide smut for them on floppy disks at $20 a pop. I made a tidy little bundle. And this isn't about food, sorry. This isn't the mistake either. We haven't gotten to that yet. The mistake is that eventually I ran out of floppies, and floppies were expensive at the time. I'm sure they're expensive now as collector's items. So my dad had a lot of extra floppies left over. I was like, I'll just use these, right? And you're thinking, he probably didn't erase the floppies and it had some data on it. I'm not that stupid. My dad put his name and number and address on everything he owned, including his floppy disks, and I didn't remove that before the sale took place. So when the kid inevitably got caught, there was a parent's name and number right there to call. So that ranks. That's up there.
We'll touch
Thank
on
you.
this again, I think, when we talk more about entrepreneurialism, because I think there's a lesson in that you try and try again. If that was your
Sure.
only foray into entrepreneurialism, we wouldn't be here today.
Exactly.
I'd have
this
a real
is the
job.
evolution of that business.
And here we are. So, do you have a favorite recipe in the book?
Sure. I love the really orangey orange chicken, which is actually adapted from a binging episode, the sugar chicken from Rick and Morty. Anybody remember that one? Yep, this person in particular does. It's really great because if you've ever had orange chicken from Panda Express, it doesn't really taste like oranges. It's good, but it doesn't really taste like oranges, does it? So we both needed to make the joke about there being a lot of sugar in the sauce while also bringing orange flavor. So we were able to accomplish both of those things by using an oleosaccharum, which is normally used for cocktails. And by using that as the sugar source, which is made from just packing citrus peel in sugar, it draws out all these oils, and it makes a super orangey sugar. So then you end up with orange chicken that actually tastes like orange, which I think is a genuine innovation. But then on top of that, there's also the cookies, which is sort of personal to me. We can touch on that later.
Would you get that at a liquor store? I can't remember where we got that.
What?
The orange sauce.
Oh, no, you make it. You make it.
You make it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
He doesn't watch the show.
I ate it. I remember eating it and thinking, this is truly special. But it had like a liqueur.
Yeah.
You discussed using a liqueur, right? An orangey liqueur?
No.
Who is this guy up here asking him questions? What about technique? There's more than just recipes in this book.
Yes. So there's a lot of, hopefully practical advice in here. There's a whole kitchen glossary and a do's and don'ts section. Some seem a little contradictory. You might notice one do that says, do follow the recipes to the letter. And then the next don't is don't follow the recipes to the letter. And that might seem confusing, but the clarification I want to make there, or that I do make there, trust me, is that when you're first starting out, you should really follow recipes to the letter, just so you understand how food behaves the way it does. So if things do go wrong, you can see, you can learn from those mistakes. I mean, the book is all about learning from mistakes. So early on, I would recommend just being strictly adherent, and then later on, once you know how chicken's going to behave when you deep fry it, when you saute it, then you can start to play jazz with the ingredients a little bit. Does that answer your question?
I think so, absolutely. But let me ask you this. Tell me a little bit about the process of shooting a cookbook.
So this cookbook was a lot of fun to shoot. Did anybody see my Architectural Digest tour, my house? That's how many people have seen the inside of my house. It's a very strange phenomenon. So you've seen that I live in a brownstone in Brooklyn, and we turned the bottom 2 levels into our studios. And the sub-basement level, that's the Studio B, then Studio A, and then my personal kitchen up in the house up top. And we created kind of like an assembly line where all the heavy prep and all the mise en place and all the long, slow cooking was being done down in Studio B, then brought up to Studio A for finishing and plating, then brought up to my personal kitchen for like final styling, and then we shot all the photography in my living room. And so everything you see here was cooked entirely in my house, photographed entirely in my house, and every bite of it was edible. There's no food styling trickery happening, like we didn't use motor oil as syrup or mayonnaise as ice cream or any of that stuff. We ended up eating absolutely everything, taking home all the leftovers, especially Alvin. Alvin, who on the channel, is a utilizer of leftovers. He's our patron saint of leftovers.
That was a very community-oriented process. We had so many people. It was a great time. But writing the cookbook itself, that was more of a personal process. What was that like? Yeah,
so if anybody's follows me on Reddit, I opened up about this recently. Last year was a really, really rough year. I found myself in a big mental spin out that culminated in my checking myself into a rehab facility, not for addiction, but for just I was not well, and I needed to come back to earth, and I also needed to step away from the channel for a minute. And you might, some of you might have seen on the YouTube community page, they posted, Andrew's taking a break for the month of March, so that's where I went, and I sort of relearned how to be a human being again. I learned meditation, and did a lot of therapy, and you and the rest of the team picked up the slack and made all the content on the channel and carried the thing when I needed you most. So first off, I want to say thank you so much, and thank you guys so much for sticking with us during a really, really difficult time. And Yeah, but I was writing the cookbook during that process, and I had to go back and edit a lot of things because I was writing things when I wasn't well, and I went back and saw things that I was, wow, why did I put that in there? And so I've had a tumultuous relationship with this book, and I'm so grateful that we're on the other side of it, and that it's something that I'm really and truly proud of, and I really hope that you guys enjoy it too. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Could you go into a little detail about what you did to correct what was going wrong? Because we all derived a lot of inspiration from watching you go through that process and then you sharing those insights with us, you know, especially a focus on presence and a focus on, you know, dealing with what you can deal with and not letting everything get in your way. Not really a question, but
It's a question.
I'd love for you to speak a little more to that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm that guy now who's like, you got to meditate. Sorry, but no, I meditate, you know, cumulatively an hour a day now. I'm a big outspoken advocate for therapy. There's nothing wrong with needing help. If you need help, you should ask for it. Yes, please. Got to normalize therapy. It's awesome. I mean, it's really hard sometimes, but you know, it's good for you. It's like vegetables. Yeah, the practice of being present, so to speak. We were talking about this before, Lonnie and I, about ceding control. That control is where a lot of misery comes from, and toward the end of, or the beginning of 2022, when I was spinning out, it was a exercise in lunacy of just trying to maintain control, of trying to keep viewership growing, of trying to put out 2 episodes a week, of trying to just do more and more, bigger and better, and it spun me out. It sort of all started in COVID, which, again, I want to thank you guys for sticking with us through COVID. Like, we all found ourselves locked in our houses, and I was lucky enough to be locked in with my cameras and my stove and stuff, and so I was able to keep producing. But then it created a completely unsustainable pattern that I found some work-life balance finally, and it's really hard to find sometimes, especially when you feel like you're in a deficit and there's more that you should be doing. But you're only capable of doing what you're capable of doing. That's what I'm starting to learn. So,
one thing that really helped me that you talk about is the voice in your head. You know, I think we live our lives thinking that the voice in our head is our voice of reason, is our best self potentially, is our intellectual guide, and you kind of turn that on its head for me a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but the voice in my head is kind of a dick. Isn't it, like, really mean? Like, just you're not doing enough, you're not good enough, like, you don't deserve this, you do deserve this if it's a bad thing. Like, it's never saying anything productive, helpful, or logical even, if you really take a step back from it. And learning to recognize when that's happening. Because it's your voice, too. When you're hearing it and it's you saying it, it's very hard not to take it seriously. But learning to not cave to the demands and the accusations of that voice is something I'm very happy that you and I have been able to have discussions about, and I hope it's something that people talk about more regularly.
Yeah, I hope our voices are particularly mean, because it shouldn't be something that everyone is burdened with, but it
Round
seems
of
to be the
applause. Do you have a
case,
mean
yeah.
voice in your head?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Give yourself a break.
It's nice to know that you're not alone, though, right?
Yeah.
It's not just
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Listen, we just rolled through 30 minutes. We
Oh my
want
God,
to give
okay.
everyone time to ask questions.
Yeah.
So
we have a half hour left on stage, and then we're going to do signatures and pictures and all that. Sound good? So let's use that time to pass around a mic and get some questions.
What was your favorite cartoon recipe to do?
Ooh, see, that's an interesting question. The cool thing about cartoon food is that it's not real. So seeing it in real life is really special. Probably just because then I got to take it apart and eat the individual elements. Jake's perfect sandwich from Adventure Time. Or All right, yeah. Or the grilled cheese deluxe from Regular Show, being able to make any cheese like super melty, and also, yeah, just something as simple as like, this grilled cheese is awesome. I bought it with money, and to be able to like make that in real life and be like, this is a grilled cheese deluxe. It's very special.
Okay, Anne-Marie, you got somebody? Stand up, please. Thanks.
Hi, Grant, longtime fan. You also inspired me to start watching The West Wing with my wife.
Hell yeah.
So I have to ask a West Wing related question. Babish, what would be Oliver Babish's either preferred meal from this cookbook or from anything that you've ever made?
Great question.
Great question. It's really just Oliver Platt in my mind. Like, what would his favorite dish be? But, well, he's White House counsel. Because like the dudes at the top, Leo McGarry and President Bartlett, they were having private chefs flown in from France and doing that tomate du Saint-Ambique and all that stuff. But White House counsel, I feel like, has a little less frivolity in their meals. Something fast and efficient. I just picture him eating Chinese takeout. So maybe, there's fried rice and there's pot stickers in here that I guess he'd like. Something fast that he can eat, and it was the 90s, and that was very sophisticated back then to eat with chopsticks.
Okay, over here, please. We're going to go back and forth, remember?
Of course.
Keep it close to your mouth.
Hi, I actually have a bit of a two-parter. First is like a... I swear I've done this before. First is a comment for Sawyer. Tough break on that Bills-Patriots game, man.
It's the Bills,
Yeah.
Thanks.
I know, man.
My whole entire life.
I was rooting for you.
Thank you very much.
Second one is a question for Andrew. So I actually recently just got married.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
We're day 4 of being married right now.
Whoa, big
Yeah.
congrats.
So naturally there is a bit of a pressure to perform in the kitchen. So I guess my question
Happens
for
to
you,
lots of guys, yeah.
when we get back home to our home in Dallas, what was the recipe out of this book that I should make for her for our first like home cooked meal?
That's a great question. That's lovely, and I'm honored that you would ask me. I'm a little nervous. I feel the pressure, but I get it. You want to take the pressure off the first night. I get it. Okay.
Really full.
Oh! I don't even have to look. I wrote the thing. Shrimp scampi, I think, would probably be the best way to go. It's going to be done in about 45 minutes. Woo, yeah. It's the tarragon and the marjoram, all the fresh herbs are what really set it off. And my favorite thing is that you can make it almost any time because frozen shrimp, as I point out in the book, better than most fresh shrimp. I don't know where you are in Texas, but unless you're coastal, frozen shrimp are fresher because oftentimes in grocery stores, the fresh shrimp that you see sitting in the snow next to the salmon was previously frozen, has been thawed. So you're getting a fresher product by getting frozen shrimp, and then you always have it on hand. All you need are a bunch of fresh herbs on hand all the time, too. So that's where it gets a little tricky.
Good, thank you.
But it's really great. It's an expression of love, and it takes less than an hour to make. What else could you possibly ask for?
Great, thank you.
Congrats, man.
Anne-Marie?
Hello, my name's Henry. This is something I've been thinking about for a few weeks. You have all these, I guess, spin-offs. You've got Binging with Babish, but you've also got Basics. You've got Arcade and Anime with Alvin.
Yep.
I was wondering, have you ever thought of doing one where it's like mixology, like making drinks?
That's a really good idea. We need somebody whose name starts with an M in order to do so, or D,
Not mine.
or C. Cool shirt, by the way. That's a really good idea. And yeah, well, let's look into that. We do have an episode upcoming of Botched by Babish, where I go back and I fix mistakes of old. The Cocktails episode of Basics, I didn't do such a great job. So I did it better now.
Okay.
So keep an eye out for that.
Back here, Andrew, you see me?
First of all, big fan.
Thank you.
And in the 5 months of the WGA writers' strike, you all came up with a rather inventive solution
Thank you.
of showing solidarity, which is instead of pulling from movies, you created some fake ones. I was wondering if you had any of those in the bank that you didn't get to use because the strike ended too early, or if there's a chance we could see like the rejected or the forgotten WGA strike sketches that you filmed.
SAG strike, as I understand, is ongoing, so we're still locked right now. But solidarity and yes, we have sequels planned. Hot Dog Detective was my personal favorite. It was Kendall's idea. She just liked the words Hot Dog Detective. So we made probably our most complex fake movie about it. But Sawyer, I don't know if anybody knows, Sawyer was Sweet Tooth, the puppet in Sweet Tooth, the cookie nachos. Preternatural ability to manipulate and breathe life into a puppet, of the likes of which I've never seen.
A doctor said once I was double jointed, so I think that's part of it.
So this is the self-diagnosing that we're talking about. But that's we do have a sequel, a bunch of sequels that we want to do for They Kidnapped My Son on Christmas. They kidnapped my father on my birthday. They killed my father on Halloween.
Yeah.
They resurrected and turned my father into a zombie on Memorial Day.
That's the arc. Yeah.
On Arbor Day, that's more appropriate. We got more in the can.
Okay, Anne-Marie, who's your person? Can they stand up? Thank you.
How is the Pequods today?
Pequods was awesome.
So good.
And that's not blowing smoke. And I'll tell you why. Because we ordered a Pequods on Goldbelly, and it sucked. And I was like, oh no. But I knew it couldn't be as good as the real thing, but I couldn't have expected how awesome it was. It was perfect.
And the ambiance?
Yeah,
What
wood
a
panel,
perfect place to
everything.
be.
We went to
Oh
the
my
original
God.
one out in, it starts with an M. Morning Grove, thank you. And it was fantastic.
Okay,
Loved
over
it.
here.
Hi, longtime fan. But
you.
what's your favorite recipe of all time that you've made?
Oh, wow. Boy, that's tough. Favorite recipe of all time? I guess, okay, probably pasta all'olio, because I got a tattoo of it right here. Because it's 7 ingredients that come together to make something better than the sum of their parts. And so many people have tagged me on Instagram saying, this is the first time I ever tried cooking, and it was amazing. And it's empowering to see that like a few things in your pantry and some fresh garlic and parsley can make something so complex and interesting and delicious. And also, I mean, I think that it's caused a second baby boom. I can't tell you how many people after these events have come up and been like, you know, I made your pasta all'olio, and 9 months later, you know, so be careful, but it is my favorite.
Okay, Anne-Marie, who do you have? Stand up.
Hi there,
Hi.
Tegan, and my partner and I have been longtime fans of yours.
Thank you.
Really helped get me into cooking as well. And I guess one of the questions I had was, once you started transitioning kind of from a small-time content creator to the powerhouse that you now are, I was curious. I was just curious, like, how did it really impact your outlook on both cooking and life in general?
Well, especially last year, it was really tough because I started to not be able to do the things that I loved so much. I was dragging myself into the kitchen, and not because I hate what I do, but because I was terrified to do it. And I this very complex relationship formed where I had to do this thing, and I was, every single time I was like, this is the end. I screwed something up, or I'm not going to be able to get this done in time, or this, that, and the other, the voice. And it complicated my relationship with it, but over the past year I've worked to get back to a place where now I'm really enjoying myself again, and it's all thanks to you guys sticking with me. I really appreciate it. Who's next?
Okay, Andrew here, all the way over here.
Hi.
A quick note, we are recording the event tonight. The video will be up on our YouTube channel. I think Mike said he's not going to get to it till the weekend, so probably by Monday it'll be on our YouTube channel. And Mike, I'm glad you're doing the Q&A as well. You usually leave before Q&A, yay. This gentleman has a question. Keep it close to your mouth.
Hey man, you're 18, right? You're a grown up.
Keep it close to your mouth.
Yeah. Hi.
What's your favorite food ever?
My favorite food ever.
Thanks, man.
Can I ask what your favorite food ever it is? Shout it out at me. Candy. Same answer.
So good.
Same answer. In particular, Butterfingers. Nobody better lay a finger upon my Butterfinger.
Okay, Anne-Marie.
Hi, my name is Genevieve, and the
Hi.
question I had for you is, are there any specific challenges you have while creating new videos?
Absolutely. That's a really great question. Thank you. It's especially when you've been doing something for so long. I've been doing it for 7 years now. You start to bump up against the walls and run out of ideas. But luckily, you guys shout out what you want to see in the comments. So I'm always reading that, and that's where I get most of my ideas from. So thank you. And so taking it, but another way to put that is to take inspiration from the people around you and the people who enjoy what you do. So that's something to always look out for, no matter what you're doing.
Andrew, over here.
Hi, so I've been a fan for a couple years. I love your content.
Thanks.
So I just had a question because me and my family, especially my mom, are big fans of The Walking Dead. And I was wondering if you think you're gonna make like more episodes on it, maybe like some of the stews they've made. They made deer, snake, anything?
Snake, sounds good. Deer I've done before. I need to go back and revisit that. Again, we're on hold with binging. We can't do anything from pop culture for the moment, and now I have this like backlog of things that I want to do, particularly from The Simpsons. Now that I've been given it a rewatch, but yeah, no, I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much. Walking Dead.
Amory.
Hello?
Hello.
Just want to make sure I don't blow out the speaker.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katie. I actually wanted to ask, since you've also expanded Babish with Alvin, with Kendall, with everyone, what do you look for when you are trying to get a new chef or just a new employee on board?
Another great question, thank you. We're looking for people who are just as passionate about what they do as we are, because the advice, when people ask me, how do I become a YouTuber, how do I know what to make, I'd say, find the thing that you're so excited about and so passionate about that you have to tell other people about it. And that's what they are on the team. Like they're all, each one of them, Alvin, Kendall, everybody is so knowledgeable and so excited to share that knowledge and in a fun, light, accessible way. So we're looking for people who tick all those boxes and who are also able to bring new voices and perspectives to the channel. Alvin has a mastery of cookery in an entirely different sector of cuisine than I do, and he's able to share a whole lot more culinary knowledge because he came on board. So we're looking for more people like that as we expand.
Andrew, over here.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Jamika. I was a former pastry chef.
Cool.
But I'm wondering, do you have an all-time favorite food scene in a movie, and what is it?
Ooh, I mean, the child in me wants to say the whipped cream pie fight from Hook. The other child in me wants to say the Jurassic Park, when the kids come back from getting chased and stomped and electrified, and then they come in and there's this perfect feast. Like that's an amazing food scene. I mean, Big Night kind of takes the cake. Like every scene in that movie is amazing. Yeah, those are my top picks.
Go ahead, Emery.
Hi. I love, especially when you do have, guest stars and things on the show, especially Joel McHale or Joshua Weissman. Those are some very fun episodes. Do you have any partnerships that you've been trying to do, or like recipes you've been waiting on because you want to be able to do it with a certain chef or a certain guest? Anything like that?
We have a bunch coming up that I'm very excited about. Alex French Guy Cooking. Any fans of him out there? Absolutely. He is a fountain of knowledge. Him and Ethan Klobowski are like two of the most knowledgeable people on YouTube. We also are in talks with Andrew Zimmern from Bizarre Foods back in the day to make us some programming, and I just got asked by, can I say this? I just got asked by Brian Baumgartner, Kevin from The Office, to write the foreword for his next book. So that's just what's coming up, but I have a lot more stuff that I want to do, absolutely.
Hi, I'm Michael. My mom and I love watching your show, usually during my lunch break.
That's a good time.
Yeah.
It's nice that she gives you a lunch break.
Yes, it is. Very nice. So my question was, How did you come up with your narration style for the episodes? Did it come to you naturally, or was it something you developed?
It was completely natural. The first episode of the show, a lot of people ask, where'd you get the idea for it? How did it come to be? And it was really by accident. Creatives in the room, and we're all creatives in our own way, will know that sometimes things just happen, and usually the best things you ever make just kind of happen. And I was working so hard, pushing to try to get into the film industry for 8+ years, plus going to school for it. And I wasn't making any headway. And the second that I, first off, got the help that I needed, went to therapy, got on the antidepressants that I needed to be on, but it opened up creative bandwidth. And the second that I just started playing and having fun, I set up the cameras in my kitchen, I shot the stuff, and then I was like, how am I going to, illustrate what's going on? I'll do titles or something. And then I just started talking as I was watching it and just making stuff up on the fly. And it just happened naturally. It's why the first episode is very similar to every other episode. There's very few format changes. But it's sometimes those things just click, and you can't make it happen. It just happens sometimes.
Andrew, I want to compliment you on your Q&A technique. I wish all my authors and speakers were as concise, clear, energetic, to the point, and we could get through as many questions as you're getting through. Hats off.
Thank you. Wow.
Anne-Marie's got somebody for you up in the balcony.
Balcony time.
Yep.
Hey, I'm Henry. I have two options for a question for you. Do you want the cooking-related one or not cooking-related one?
What do you think, audience? Cooking-related one?
No.
Not cooking-related one.
Non-cooking.
The latter, please.
Well, it depends if it's a personal, non-cooking related one, then...
The more personal, the better.
Maybe... Depends.
Open me like a book, won't you?
Okay.
No, I meant his, no, anyway, go ahead.
Do you personally think there are more wheels or doors in the world?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Like
Wheels
we're
or doors?
getting a job at a venture capital firm or something. How many windows are in Manhattan?
Wait, but wheels or doors? What wheel is in this room? Am I missing something?
In the world.
In the world? I thought you said in this room. Okay. It's like doors, man. Well, I was going to say cars, but cars have 4 doors, so doors.
Well, they have 4 wheels,
That's all I got.
too.
Well, yeah, but it cancels out, so the rest is just doors.
Okay. Keep it close to me.
Hi, Jonathan, and
Hey, Jonathan.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
One comment first, as you tried Pequods, you should definitely try or look up Bert Katz and try Bert's Place. He's the guy who created Pequods, and his final place before he passed away was Bert's Place.
Bert's Place.
He created lots of pizza places, but he created places, then he got bored with all the corporate stuff. He sold blah, blah, blah. But my question is, when we talk about football fusion and with Sawyer and that, when you got into cooking, and basically, what was your favorite football fusion one? Which recipes worked? Which football fusions have you made that just really didn't work and you never actually showed?
What worked?
I mean, the peach, what you call it?
Kringle? Yeah,
peach
that
Kringle
was
was killer.
good.
And it was too easy. It was like suspiciously easy. I was like, did we really do this?
And
or
you want to
did-
tell them the secret about the peach Kringle?
No. What is the secret? No.
That
what
we
is it?
were researching our product.
What? The infusion? Oh.
Why Steve couldn't have any?
There's kids here.
Oh, that's right.
No, we're coming to market with a product that is a medicated product. This is a legal state. We're coming to market with a THC product. It's a infused sugar. I'm sorry, we'll go right back to that in a second. But it's an infused sugar that is called Baked with Babish. Go ahead.
So there's like 200 milligrams of that in that episode.
Yeah, no, and I ate a bunch of it and forgot that we put it in there.
Yeah, but I would say
And then went to therapy.
The takeaway from that show is that your least skilled, most slovenly of friends can accomplish something in the kitchen, and make something that the friends and family coming over can enjoy. And trying to set the bar as low as possible, barrier of entry as low as possible. And then also, I think it's good to remember that you're usually feeding people that like you. They want it to be okay, it's all gonna be fine. And so trying to remove a little of that anxiety and get people in the door and up the ramp to skilled, actual cookery.
Emery, who do you have?
Hi. I'd like to know what you're going to be for Halloween this year.
There's only one costume that works for me, which is Kratos, but I don't want to do the full body paint again, and I've gained like 5 pounds since last year. And what other bald bearded dudes? What was that? Walter White? No, he's got a goatee. I'm not going to shave that off. So my whole brand, dude. Any other bald bearded dudes in fiction? Just shout them out. Something with a mask, that works.
Yes.
Andrew, over here.
Yes.
Hey, my name's Connor. In your book, you talk a lot about how your mom is a big influence on you. Who are 2 other people who are big influences on you personally? What are 2 recipes in the book that remind you of them? You talk about the cookie dough recipe, which is, no pun intended, but very sweet.
Oh, thank you.
And what are 2 other people and 2 other recipes that remind you of them?
I think you can intend that pun. That's a well-intended pun. Yeah, I think so. And so 2 others. One would be, there's one called Dad's Pot Roast. You can guess who gave me that recipe? Gordon Ramsay. No, I'm kidding. No, my dad used to make pot roast. It was the only thing he knew how to make after my mom died. So it was this thing that he just worked on and worked on. So it's a tribute to him. And then the chicken parm. If anybody knows Josh Shearer from Mythical Kitchen, he thinks that I make terrible chicken parm because he thinks it should be soggy, which is insane. And but I did mention that in the head note. He's the one who inspired it, and it's sort of a obstinate refusal to believe that his method's better. But I'm about to go on his show next week, so I'll have words with him about it.
Okay. Emery?
So with your book being so focused on making mistakes and learning from them, what do you think is the biggest mistake you've ever made in the kitchen?
Biggest mistake I've ever made in the kitchen was probably with this guy, and it was a formative mistake. I'll try to keep the story very short. Basically, he and some friends from high school, one of whom is here tonight. Doug, where are you at?
Let's go, Doug.
Whoa,
Doug. Man.
Dougie, there he
is. There he
is, Dougo.
Why do I not see him? There he is. You're not gonna stand up for me?
Doug.
Jeez. No, I'm kidding. Sit down.
Sawyer.
He's too handsome and he's too good in shape. I didn't want you to see.
Sawyer, is that the cyber guy?
Yeah, you're going to talk
hey, Doug,
to
I have somebody you have to talk to, okay? So don't leave before you
networking
talk to me.
with her
Excuse
son
us, guys. We're
later.
networking for a second.
All right. Go ahead.
But Doug was there as well, and I said, I'm going to make you guys the hangover breakfast of your dreams. And you all sort of stumbled out, you all sort of stumbled out of your rooms and found me clattering away in the kitchen making sous vide quail eggs on toast with black truffle oil and shaved asparagus. And that was a huge mistake. My friends, as all great friends are a little mean. And so they rightfully made fun of me for that. And it was a turning point for me. I decided I'm going to stop making food to just try to challenge people or show that I can cook, and instead just like make food that, people like. I don't know. So thank you for that, Doug. And I won in that one round of Agent Under Fire on GameCube. But I won.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'm going to give a heads up. We got about 3 minutes. Given your pacing, we probably have time for 2, maybe 3 more questions.
Wow.
I want to remind everybody, if you're in for the I want my book with my name on it, ... or I want a picture with Babish, that line is going to form, where, Henry? You see where this nice gentleman is standing over here? That line's going to form there. Do not come up this stair. Don't come up that stair. Don't come up that stair. I'll stare at you and I'll ask you off the stage. Don't come up that way. And we're going to go quick, okay? Quick. This isn't like hang out and tell them all your favorite things. It's quick, okay? Now, with no further ado.
Hi, I'm Brian.
Hi.
I've been watching you for a while from the start, and with all the different changes in your kitchen and different setups and et cetera.
Thank you.
And I was wondering if we might be remodeling, hopefully, our kitchen in the future, and wondered if you had any advice on kitchen, just kind of setup and placement and the best way to do that. Also, at your cooktop, what kind do you have and do you like it?
I have a Viking cooktop. I love it, and I recommend getting that on your island for sure, and having dual ovens off to the side. Make sure that they're not in a area of traffic, so if you open them, you're not blocking a path of any kind. And get a big old sink. Get the biggest sink.
Go out
you
the
can't
side
get
door.
too small a
Out the
sink
side
or
door.
too big a sink. Just get a big sink.
Sorry,
With
I
a
didn't mean
sprayer, you know, like-
Didn't mean to talk over you. Sorry. I did talk over you. I'm really sorry. Wait, where are you
Okay.
all going? Where are they all going?
They're lining up early.
They're lining up. Well, I guess.
It's happening now. It's
all right,
like
well then let's call
when
it
a
a
plane
night. Okay, thank
stops
you,
and you hear
everybody.
them. Boom. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming.
everyone.
Love you guys. Thank you.